Oh, I thought you were someone else.
Hey friend, welcome to my channel Crane Elude, where we talk about everything, and I'm Crane Elude. If you're not yet part of the friendship circle, please be sure to like, subscribe, and join the friendship circle. If you're already part of the friendship circle, please be sure to turn on your notification bell so you can always know when I post a new upload. Now let's get straight into this video. Today we are talking about Diana Dors, and you guys are going to be very shocked by all of the things that we discover. From her adult explicit parties where she hosts group situations, if you catch my drift. You guys know how YouTube is, so I'm gonna filter and censor a lot of the words but read in between the lines. From her husband pimping her out, and just her recording other celebrities who came to her parties and being so bold and honest about her ventures and interviews and just taking in a lot. We're going to talk about this and more, and how Hollywood, basically this was the norm in the 50s, 60s, 70s, all the way down to the 2020s. This is still going on, though many people do talk about it. Still, some do try to hide it and make it not seem like that's the case. And without getting too far into all of my little conspiracies, I do believe this does answer a lot of questions why so many movies are so filtered and with a lot of these imagery, songs, etc., because it's their norm and they just want the regular world, us citizens, to join in into their festivities as well. So they're just sprinkling them in there. Oh, definitely sarcasm. But who was Diana Dors? She was England's Marilyn Monroe, although no one can compare with Marilyn. In my book, I am very biased, but she had a voluptuous body and natural glamour that swept her from the suburbs of Swindon to the Hollywood Hills. Diana was really gorgeous, really gorgeous. But Miss Diana Dors' acting career was eclipsed by her turbulent private life and blonde bombshell image, as we stated, describing herself as the only SEX symbol Britain has produced since Lady Godiva. She gained greater fame for her multiple husbands, multiple affairs, and hosting, substance-fueled orgies. We're just gonna call them orgies or hoagies. Let's say hoagies, okay? Like the sub. At the height of her notoriety, she scandalized 1950s Britain with tales of her exploits, adult parties, and infidelity. Even the Archbishop of Canterbury, Geoffrey Fisher, branded her as a wayward hussy. I haven't heard the word hussy in so long. All of which hardly made her birthplace of Swindon proud of her, so they were not proud of her for the longest. A bombshell blonde from across the pond, this British star was unmatched in notoriety during the 1950s and early 1960s. So aside from all the scandals, she was most known for her gorgeous good looks, as you guys can see on screen, and her charisma. She has a very lovely singing voice as well. Most people don't know that. Diana Dors always left audiences captivated with her acting chops on screen, as well as with her equally popular love life off screen, rising to stardom during the peak of the makeup color palette explosion. Let's talk about her makeup real quick. I'm into all that stuff. So Diana Dors' classic look was a result of the end of World War II and a new obsession with lip and eye shade play. As tons of different makeup hues began to be offered, they only added to the natural beauty of popular cinematic goddesses. There were many different kinds of looks during this classic period, but the Diana Dors look was all about the glam, similar to the highly covetable look for Marilyn Monroe. Dors rocked thicker eyebrows that thinned out towards the ends. Full coverage foundation was followed up with pale pressed powder, slightly winged eyeliner, and bold lip color, paired with brushed out pin curls. I love the pin curl hair that created dramatic volume. It's no wonder Diana turned so many heads. And let's talk about her early life. So her real name was Diana Mary Fluck, like the F word, but with an L. She was born in Swindon, as we said, Wiltshire, on October 23rd, 1931. So she was born at the Haven Nursing Home in Kent Road, Swindon. Her mother, Winfred Maud Mary, was married to Albert Edward Sidney Fluck, a railway clerk. Mary had been having an affair with another man, and when she announced she was pregnant with Diana, she admitted she had no idea if the other man or her husband was the father, and we never really got a clear answer on who exactly was her father. So Diana was educated at a small private school, Selwood House. She enjoyed the cinema. Her heroines from the age of 8 onwards were Hollywood actresses Veronica Lake, which we did a breakdown for, and you guys should watch that, and I'm gonna make sure to put it in the end cards. And we talk about all the lies Veronica Lake did, but I love Veronica Lake. She inspired all the girls, including Aaliyah. We love Veronica Lake. She definitely had a difficult time, but she also had to lie her way into Hollywood a lot. Diana Dors was also inspired by Lana Turner and Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow is on my list. Comment below if you would like a video breakdown on her as well. Towards the end of the war, Dors entered a beauty contest to find a pinup girl for Soldier magazine. She came in 3rd place. This led to work as a model in art classes, and she began to appear in such local theater productions as A Weekend in Paris and Death Takes a Holiday. And she was offered a place to study at London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, becoming the college's youngest student starting in January 1946. She acted in public theater pieces for the London Academy, one of which was seen by casting director Eric Lapine Smith. He suggested Dors for what became the actor's screen debut in the noir film The Shop at Sly Corner. During the signing of contracts in agreement with her father, she changed her contractual surname to Dors, the maiden name of her maternal grandmother. This was at the suggestion of her mother, Mary. Dors later commented on her name, saying, "They asked me to change my name. I suppose they were afraid that if my real name, Diana Fluck, was in lights and one of the lights blew out and the L word was gone, it'd be Diana." You get the point. Dors, she definitely had a sense of humor. So Diana landed the female lead supporting Ronald Shiner in Worm's Eye View, a comedy which was one of the most popular movies of 1951 in Britain. Her fee was 250 euros. She had a leading role, and that was a lot at that time, okay? Don't look at it like, what, that's it? That was a lot at that time. She had a leading role in a TV movie for the BBC, Face to Face, then appeared in 2 plays, Miranda at Stratford and Born Yesterday at Henley. She auditioned for the lead in Lady Godiva Rides Again and was turned down because it was felt she did not appeal to men and women, but she was given a support role. In 1949, while filming Diamond City, she had a relationship with businessman Michael Caborn Waterfield, who later found the Ann Summer chain, which he named after a former girlfriend. During the short relationship, Dors became pregnant, but Caborn Waterfield paid for a backstreet, termination of the pregnancy, let's just say that, which took place on a kitchen table in Battersea. The relationship continued for a time, but with her boyfriend in jail and having just undergone her first termination of her child, Diana met Dennis Hamilton Gittins, the a-hole we're going to talk about, in May 1951 while filming Lady Godiva Rides Again for Rank. The couple did get married 5 weeks later at Caxton Hall on Monday, July 3rd, 1951. So during her relationship with Hamilton and until a few months before her death, Diana regularly held adult parties. Let's talk about the adult parties at her home, okay? There's a number of celebrities amply supplied with alcohol and substances mixed with young starlets against a background of both softcore and hardcore corn films. Dors gave all her guests full access to the entire house. Her son Jason Lake later alleged in various media interviews and publications that she had equipped it with 8mm movie cameras. The young starlets were made aware of the arrangements and were allowed to attend for free in return for making sure that their celebrity partners performed in bed at the right camera angles. Diana later enjoyed watching the films, keeping an archive of the best performances. We also did one on Roman Polanski, who allegedly, we'll say allegedly, did the same thing. Check out that video as well. But these parties weren't just, let's not just speak for Diana, but in Hollywood, these adult parties where starlets came had high-end execs, producers, directors, scriptwriters, all the Hollywood who's who were there, okay? All the famous people. If you heard what I said in terms of her allowing the starlets to come in for free, you're like, okay, why would she charge? Well, some parties did charge starlets to come in because it was your chance. You could get lucky if you slept with the right person at these parties to get a role in a movie or get a callback, a phone number or whatever. It was kind of a way to audition. It's so terrible, right? And In many of these cases, there were young adult starlets who were 14, 15, 16, who are not of age that would be at these parties too. And Diana Dors was accused of being one of those people that touched a young lady who was not of age, and definitely had that situation. But that same young lady, when she got older, went on to speak up, but ended up in a relationship with Diana Dors' son. And Diana Dors had already passed away when she started speaking up, and the son reached out or whatever. And they dated briefly, shortly, but ended that relationship when the son, punched her in the head and things like that. So that's all a messy story, but there were a couple other alleged, and it really is all alleged because we don't know, but young ladies who did come out saying the same thing, that they were young, just looking for their big breaks, and she definitely took advantage of that. But it was the norm of Hollywood, and there was a lot of protection. I don't want to say Hollywood because she's from Britain too, but they're all the same all across the world. These industries are all the same, okay? And they do the same thing, and these people of power really think they can get away with it. And because of information age, and people just now having the opportunities to make their own path, like SoundCloud rappers, you can just post your songs online now and blow up and be independent. You can make your own films and be independent. You can have your own YouTube channel. Look how Issa Rae blew up, from just creating her own work, and now doing all this stuff. You don't rely on these creeps anymore that are power drunk to get your way. So, doing this breakdown, it was pretty difficult. It is beautiful, as Diana Dors is, to kind of, you guys know I'm usually sympathetic with the women and men that I break down here. I kind of can see past the beauty, and this is where we have pretty privilege and bias. A lot of people don't talk about this with Diana Dors. There's like thousands of Instagram pages dedicated to her, and remastered reels as well as TikToks for her, and women just glamorizing her when they're like, you guys don't know how dark her life story went and the things that happened. But that's pretty privilege. We're so blinded by the beauty, and oftentimes we see such a nice angelic face and we're like, oh, there's no way she could have been part of this. But unfortunately she was, and it was very difficult to look past that. This reminds me of my Jane Mansfield video. I was a little bit more sympathetic for Jane Mansfield, even though she was in the Church of Satan. You guys know I'm against that, but she definitely was compared to Jane Mansfield as well. They very much look similar, and a lot of these same issues were happening with a lot of these starlets. So yeah, moving on. Diana became an early subject of the celebrity expose tabloids, appearing regularly in the news of the world. Yeah, she made world news, okay? In large part, she brought this notoriety upon herself in desperate need of cash after her separation from Hamilton in 1958. She gave an interview in which she described their lives in the adult group parties in full, frank detail. She did not hold back. Like I said, she was bold. She wasn't being secretive. The interview was serialized in a tabloid for 12 weeks, followed by an extended 6-week series of sensational stories, creating negative publicity. Subsequently, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Geoffrey Fisher, denounced Diana as a wayward hussy, like we already said. Television, news, and film companies with more general interest, particularly because of her popularity and partly because of who was attending the parties, were unwilling to repeat the stories until well after Dors' death. Her former lover and party guest, Bob Monkhouse, later commented in an interview after Dors' death, and he said, and I kid you not, you can't make this stuff up, the awkward part about a hoagie I can't with YouTube, is that afterwards you're not too sure who to thank. You don't know where your thing has been. In other words, you don't know who actually made you climax. So who do you say thank you to? Blow a kiss to the room, I guess, and thank all 200-300 of the people that you just, So Diana often played characters suffering from unrequited love. And then I must say this. Towards the end of her life, she did die from ovarian cancer. And I noticed that a lot of women that I've done breakdowns for, even our beloved Evita, okay, from Argentina, and many more that were accused of, being passed around, being in hoagies and all of this stuff, they all seem to die from ovarian cancer. And I want you guys to know that HPV is one of those that most women don't pay too much mind of or get tested for. But over time, towards the end, you can develop ovarian cancer from it, okay, and cervical cancer, etc. And a lot of these women, a lot of those cancers that have to do with your uterus, and not in all cases, I'm just saying in most, does come from having multiple, partners and recklessness and things like that. So when we do speak against corn and that type of lifestyle, it's not because of just spirituality and all this stuff. There's real consequences that come from it, and we'll see. I have a couple women lined up that had similar life, and it just constantly seemed like they all ended up struggling with ovarian cancer or cervical cancer. And I'm just like, I see the correlation here, okay? But Dors played characters suffering from unrequited love. And by the mid-1950s, she was known as the English Marilyn Monroe, as we said. Hamilton, her first husband, he made sure that she had the lifestyle attachments of a SEX symbol, agreeing to a lease deal with Rolls-Royce, that a headline could be created in a tabloid, said at the age of 20, she was the youngest registered keeper of a Rolls-Royce in the UK. Hamilton went to great lengths to advance Diana's career in his income and influence. He grew from it too. After her death, friends and biographers said that Hamilton would lend Dors as a sensual favor to hiring producers and leading actors, much as the casting couch practices of Hollywood. So he passed her around and pimped her for roles and money and position of power. So someone was interested in her, his wife, he definitely had no issue. Hey, you could use her. He sounds like a stand-up guy, doesn't he? Just like your dream guy. Oh my goodness, so high value. So Diana later said Hamilton, that was sarcasm for those who don't understand sarcasm. So Diana later said Hamilton promoted me strictly as a SEX symbol, never as an actress, but it served its purpose, and at the time it was fun. So she enjoyed it. She didn't have an issue with it, This goes to also break down the myth that all these women tend to have issue with it, when that's not the truth. A lot of women do like this lifestyle, guys. Don't think they're all just grew up in a messed up home and was touched when they were young and this. Nope, that's not always the case. There are women that genuinely do like this and get into these industries and are okay with certain things because they really don't mind it. So that's why I said we not gonna judge. A lot of women really do like it, and you can't just put this I hate the word monolith since it's so overused, but not all women are monolith, clearly. A lot of women do like what they like, and that's that. And a lot of things we restrain ourselves because of societal norms and religious things. There's a lot of things, if I wasn't Christian and it culturally was acceptable and things like that, that I don't do now, that I would do if there was no restrictions, So let's not judge. We don't know what we would do if we had no restrictions. And some people really are born not into any kind of spiritual life or cultural restrictions, so they're free to express all of their, they have no inhibitions, if you catch my drift. In 1954, Hamilton had the idea of exploiting the newly printed technology of 3D. He engaged photographer Horace Roy to take a number of bare and semi-bare photographs of Diana, which Hamilton subsequently had published in 2 forms. The semi-bare pictures were issued as a set called Diana Dors 3D. So she did it first before Madonna, okay? The X book, she did it first because Madonna did one where she was bare also. And the book was titled Diana Dors 3D, the ultimate British X symbol, which was sold together with a pair of 3D glasses. The full bare test shot photographs became part of Roy's booklet, London Models. Police pressed charges alleging the books were obscene, but a court ruled that they were not. Does anyone else think she looks a lot like Anna Nicole Smith also? Diana's performances attracted interest in Hollywood, and in February 1956, she guest starred on a TV special Bob Hope made in England. Comment below if you guys would want a Bob Hope breakdown as well. Still making headlines in the news of the world and other print media in the late 1970s thanks to her adult parties in her later years, Diana's status began to revive, and in 1979, while touring Australia, she said, "I used to think it was a lot of hooey that life begins at 40, but I know what I can put up with. I've mellowed. I'm a homey person, although I don't expect people to believe it." She had affairs with the likes of film star Rod Steiger and later married comedian Dickie Dawson. They had 2 sons, Gary and Mark. Before she went bankrupt and divorced him, Diana married her final hubby, alcoholic actor Alan Lake, in 1968, father to another son, Jason. Having turned her life story into a cash flow through interviews and leaked tabloid stories, like many celebrities in their later careers, they still do that today. Like as they get older, they start to snitch on themselves. It's kind of like selling your soul again, because secrets that you should have kept to yourself, now you're revealing just to make some money. Sometimes they embellish. They do lie about a couple things. Like I said, check out my Veronica Lake video, guys. So Diana Dors turned to the autobiography to generate retirement cash. In 1960, she wrote and published Swinging Doors, and between 1978 and 1984, she published 4 autobiographical books under her own name for adults only, and they were titled For Adults Only, Behind Closed Doors, Doors by Diana, and A to Z of Men. So she was proud of herself, like I said. Having gone through her first round of cancer treatment by the early 1980s, Dors' hourglass figure had become plumper, and she addressed the issue through co-writing a diet book and creating a diet and exercise video cassette. This resulted in her working for TVAM, ITV's breakfast station, in the summer of 1983, and a regular slot focusing on diet and nutrition. As the cancer treatment took its toll again, though her appearance became less frequent, she sued the show for withholding her fan mail. Her last public appearance was in Cabaret at Harpoon Louis Earl's Court, West London, on April 15, 1984, where she looked considerably frail but stood throughout her whole set. Towards the end of her life, Dors had meningitis and twice underwent surgery to remove cancerous tumors. She collapsed at her home near Windsor with acute stomach pains and died on May 4th, 1984, at the age of 52, which is so young, at the BMI Princess Margaret Hospital in Windsor from a recurrence of ovarian cancer, first diagnosed 2 years before. So she had converted into a Catholic in early 1973, hence her funeral service was held at the Sacred Heart Church in Sunningdale on May 11, 1984, conducted by Father Theodore Fontanari. She was buried in Sunningdale Catholic Cemetery. After her death, Alan Lake, her third and final husband, burned all of Dors' remaining clothes and fell into a depression. And on October 10, 1984, Lake did a telephone interview with Daily Express journalist Jean Rook, and then walked into their son's bedroom and took his own life by firing a shotgun into his mouth. He was 43. This was 5 months after her death from cancer and 16 years to the day since they had first met. Alan had no alcohol or illegal substances in his system at the time of his death, so he really loved her. They were together for 16 years, and I just guess he didn't know what to do with her life, you know? So this is all I have for this video. How shocked are you? How do you feel about Miss Diana Dors now? And what do you think about pretty privilege? Do we ignore a lot of these things with our favorite starlets because they're so beautiful? Like, no, we don't want to see them in this light. How do you feel? I think if she was alive in this era, she would have been a lot more accepted and she could have freely been herself, but she definitely would have been canceled for the alleged, underage girls that she touched and played with and without, but then I don't know, guys. It's just a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot of videos that I did prior breakdowns for that was kind of like bubblegum, and I really do want to get into, yes, we love the makeup, we love the fashion, we love the femininity, but we also want to acknowledge the toxicity also, and I want to do all of them over, just like start from fresh. And give the real deal, you know. And as I look over some of them, I will over time, so you guys will see that I do a lot of my older breakdowns again and kind of just be a little bit more raw with them. But turn on your notification bell so you never miss out on these type of videos, and comment below what else you guys would like to see. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.